You choose your projects very carefully because apart from directing, you normally write them and produce them also. So they're very personal to you and you put a lot of work into them. What was it about G.I. Joe that made you make that your next project?
I just loved originally when they came to me, because I grew up with a 12-inch Army Man model, and so I really didn't have an interest in doing that version of it. I didn't see how it could be anything kind of fresh or new, and then they told me about the new GI Joe, which is 25 years old now, but. As soon as I realized how visual it could be, that we could shoot at we could shoot in Washington D.C. and Tokyo and Paris and Egypt and the polar ice cap at the bottom of the ocean, I just thought, oh, it has such potential visually. And then when I got to know all the characters, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, the Baroness, Scarlet, I realized, they did 170 cartoons and 120 comic books or vice versa, and they never killed anybody. So you've got all these characters who are there's a wealth of depth behind them all, and they all got to know each other, and there's great relationships, and there's two very strong women, female characters, and so like in this movie we have two romances, a tragic romance and a comic romance, and there's so much to it, I couldn't turn it down. There's all kinds of gadgets and vehicles and locations, and it was just looked like a big fun project.
Sounds like fun. Let's talk about the casting, how they all came together, because from what I've seen, they look so great for the roles.
Yeah. No, they do. It's like, on this one, I've been doing it long enough now, and I have a group of people around me. As soon as we get the script right, we all sit down, and some people have been with me for 10 years, and people have been with me for over 20 years now. And we just start talking about names and actors and stuff like that, and also with our casting agent, Rona Kress, and we just start talking about people and this and that, and someone will mention like, oh, Dennis Quaid, he has to play the Hawk. He's perfect for Hawk, and that was like kind of a slam dunk. And then someone brought up Sienna Miller for the Baroness, and I didn't know enough of her work, so I started watching her stuff, and I thought, oh, she's a really good actress, and she's hot. That's hard to find. And then we did some auditions, and so it's just kind of all different things. Like Rona Kress knew about Channing Tatum. She goes, there's this guy, he did this movie, and they just start showing me stuff. And then I meet them to make sure they're nice people, and it all worked out.
It seems like it's going to be a big year for Channing. I mean, what do you think he brought to the role as an actor?
Channing is he's a girl's guy in the sense that, he can dance, and he's very romantic, and the women love him, but also he's a guy's guy. He's the kind of guy who wouldn't steal your girlfriend. And you can kind of feel that. He's a real nice guy and straight up, and he's not sleazy or going to, sleep with your wife. So I think that he's just got it. He's a guy's guy and a girl's guy.
Let's talk a bit about the shoot in Prague. What was that like?
I love Prague. I've shot there before, and it's for me it's great to go to a big enchanting city like that and be 5 to 15 minutes away from all the locations or the soundstage. I just would rather do that. I love shooting in London, but it takes 45 minutes to an hour to get out to Shepperton or Pinewood. So I'd rather spend more time shooting than in the car. So I just love Prague, and the crews are great, and the food is great, and it's just a fun place to shoot.
You've always pushed the envelope of effects with your films that are very spectacular, but look so real too. Not those kind of, fake effects that we sometimes see. They look so amazing. What I just saw now was absolutely spectacular. What have you done here? What should we expect from this film?
Well, that's the hard part. It's is to make it look real. And that's the thing, is this is a very contemporary movie. In fact, it takes place 10 to 15 years in the future. It has that kind of edge to it, if you will. And I don't know. Every scene has something different. That was the thing. It wasn't like when we went into this thing, all I had to go on when as far as toy movies was Transformers. And I thought, oh, they have these fantastic robots, and boy, isn't that cool. What does G.I. Joe have? And the thing is, we don't just have one big great thing. We have all kinds of things. Just the amount of gadgets and vehicles and locations and characters. It's a very fresh, colorful palette of things to play with.
Also, you talk about playing. Your films are fun. They always are. They're action, but they're also a lot of fun. Humor is important in your movie.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say so? Would you
Yeah, I love. I love romance. That's why another thing that pulled me into this movie is it had two. Scarlet and the Baroness are two very strong, smart females, and they're hot. So I really love that, and I think that if I can have romance and humor and action, I like to have it all. Try to get it cram as much in as I can. And this movie had to be, it's G.I. Joe. It had to be fun. You know, from the first frame to the last, people had to be having fun. And so, of course, there has to be humor. It's me.
So if anyone asked you, Stephen, what is your new movie? What is that going to be about? How would you explain it?
G.I. Joe, how do I explain G.I. Joe? You can't. I guess the only thing I'd say is look at the trailer, look at the commercials. It's really hard to explain in a sentence. I mean, that's why I took to it, because you couldn't explain it in a sentence. I had to do like 2 weeks worth of research to learn about all the characters and this and that. But yet at the same time, if somebody's never heard of G.I. Joe before, they can sit down in the theater, because I had never heard of it before, really. And so the movie I made was for people who didn't know anything about it. And they can sit there and they don't have to know the backstories of any of these characters or know who they are. We'll explain it to you.
But if it goes well, we can have more coming up.
Oh, I hope so. I had so much fun making this. I'd love to do some more.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you.